Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Understanding Human Design podcast. I'm Karen Curry Parker, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Asha Ramakrishna, a quantum human design level 4 specialist who's going to be sharing with us information about the sacred nature of work and why work is a path. Our work, our job, our calling is a path to service. So welcome, Asha. I'm so glad to talk to you today.
Hi, always nice to get to chat with you.
Absolutely. So I want to dive right in because you bring to the table an enormous amount of really, I want to say fun and juicy, but also really deep and sacred knowledge that you blend not only with your human design, but with your coaching programs that you support women with in really tapping into those deep, deep places where they can connect to the sacred as part of their business. So I just want to really kind of start with, what's the difference between doing business, being an entrepreneur, and being engaged in sacred commerce? How is that different?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so many of us are a little bit tired of the bro marketing or a little bit tired of like such a such an oppressed way of capitalism, right? Like profit at the expense of everything, at the expense of people, at the expense of the earth, at the expense of what's right, just for profit. And sacred commerce is a way of understanding that we've evolved past that. If we have the courage to acknowledge that for ourselves and the trust in ourselves and each other, that we can do things differently, that we can think about sustainability, that we can think about equitability, and that we can also think about profitability from just a different way of approaching things. And that doesn't forget the humans who are part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As business doesn't happen without humans, like to some degree, right? Someone's either selling or buying. And what are those people doing, right? And how do they feel? And how fulfilled do they feel? And like, is their health okay?
So, one of the things that I think is a very interesting thing to watch as somebody who's been an entrepreneur now for 35 years, I don't want to do math. The when I first really started getting serious about my business, especially when the internet kind of burst onto the scenes, when I would go to say marketing conferences and internet marketing conferences, I would usually be like one of three women there. And I'd watch the guys, and this isn't meant to be about men versus women because that's not really where I'm headed. And the drivers behind the business at that time and the drivers behind how we engaged in business, really, even at that point for me as a full-time mom and obviously a full-time woman, as a full-time person who wanted to do business that wasn't just about making money, that was about being of service, I really had to engineer my own path, my own way of doing it. And you know when you say bro marketing, can you flesh out, like, what's the difference between bro marketing and, say, marketing with using your spiritual gifts? How is that different, and why is that important right now?
I mean, I think that when you look at even the foundation of the financial foundation of, let's say, this country, it
Mm-hmm.
has been very male driven. And by all means, like, kudos to them, right? Like, they were breaking the rules, they were doing the things, they were making way. And then, rules had to be made around them because they were doing things that were not nice to people and not nice to the environment. And that to me feels like a nurturing energy that starts coming in to protect the people, to protect the earth. So when I think of bro marketing, I think that that's just like the marketing that we have all learned. We have all learned how to put our bio together. We have all learned how to, like, really be driven in our transactions. And that's an important piece. Like, I don't want to demonize that, but I don't feel like that's the full story. And especially like as we keep evolving and raising our consciousness individually and collectively, we realize that we want more. And then what happens when we realize we want more is that we say, oh, this isn't about money. And we kind of run the other way, away from money.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm suggesting is that it's actually about incorporating the two. It's about incorporating how important it is to have a strong financial foundation and also evolve that wealth so that it has purpose also.
I think that's really important because, you know, I think so many times when we talk about spiritual business or even feminine leadership in business, I think because of our conditioning around the archetypes of, say, the spiritual, the feminine, that we sort of associate that with giving and sharing and sort of moving towards the further edges of that spectrum, martyrdom and sacrifice and giving your all to your business. And you know, there's so much that I see in the business world around sort of the edges of that space that's out of balance. Even hustle to a certain degree, it sort of can go into that dark feminine space, if you will, of too much based on not perceiving your own limits and boundaries, your own value, your own place of service. And I think as we continue to kind of recalibrate this business model and incorporate maybe a new definition of what does business do and what is the purpose of business, you know, I think finding that sweet spot for people to be in that allows them to be in that flow of service. And as you said, simultaneously also be profitable and to be able to then harness the power of that profit in a very different way than perhaps we have before. So I think that it's a huge, huge thing to be able to give that to people the way you're doing.
And we don't have really good models, working models of it. So, like the three kind of principles that I have people consider in their business, no matter the size of their business, is the feel good, right? Is everybody like sleeping? Is everyone's health taken care of? Childcare, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being. And that's the first one, feeling good. Second is being wealthy. Like that's an important foundation also. Because I don't know about you, but I've gone through moments in my life where that was not rocking. And that was very stressful. Very, very stressful.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not just that it's stressful. It also limits what you can do in your business because you start to think about, well, I can't do this because I don't have the funding for this, or I can't offer this service in this open way because I need to make X amount of money. And it can be the quality of the choices you make around your business, even in terms of long-term sustainability, change if the financial foundation of the wealth of the business isn't in place.
It kills creativity, honestly. And one of the foundations of the sacred commerce is being provisioned to overflow. Because when we are provisioned to overflow, we make choices that are the quality of the choices are significantly more expansive when you're provisioned to overflow, because then you really like can be in a place of let me take some risks, let me do things differently, let me try something new. And it doesn't, and you know, I mean, I've been at like, let's try something new out of desperation, but that the quality of that is completely different when you feel like I have a support, like literally I have a support and I can trust that the support can open something else bigger. And then the third piece is giving back, right? Like I think that we've had a huge rhetoric even in the, you know, feminine leadership and feminine business of like you got to feel good, you got to make money, and then we not always remember the stewardship of the privilege that we have of being able to do well for ourselves, and how important it is to make spaces, right, for people who don't have the same level of access, and including, you know, like you and I were chatting about well, what does that really look like? Does that mean like giving money to organizations? It can look like that, but it can also be about buying land back for the indigenous people. That's reparations. Like those things that you and I get to have access to did not happen because just you and we didn't happen in this insular way. It happened because we were given opportunities, because we have a certain level of privilege. And I really believe that part of our role is to acknowledge that and to make space for, wow, what is it that it's not even about giving back, it's about making amends and making bringing consciousness to this whole experience, right, of commerce, of living, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I think, that puts a very emerging twist on the definition of the the power of profit in your business and the capacity to use your business as a vehicle, not only for obviously sustaining and taking care of yourself and your family, but also as a vehicle for the provision of sustenance for others, and as a vehicle for evolution and realignment back to, as you said, egalitarianism, justice, and shifting and changing consequently the foundation from which we all hopefully have the capacity to grow from and build from it at a certain point. So I want to know, because you incorporate human design into the work that you do.
Everything.
Yeah, talk to me about how you incorporate human design into sacred commerce.
How? Oh my gosh. I mean, after learning it from you 15 years ago, it's like infiltrated into every aspect of my life. And so the way that it incorporates, I do incorporate astrology as a foundation, and human design becomes the way in which people get to unfold and get to experiment in that provision to overflow, right? Human design doesn't always have the context of who that person is, leading up to finding out about their chart. But the chart to me has always been this like map of the soul and the human, and the honoring of who we are from that place is like one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. I feel so lucky to have been able to parent my reflector child knowing this, I got to tell you. And then to be able to hand this tool to people so that they can feel empowered with who they are and how they're here to unfold, and their what their perceived sensitivity, what their sensitivities are, what their perceived flaws are, and the great gifts that they have within their chart. So yeah, human design is a big part of sacred commerce, of owning who we are.
That's beautiful. And I think, in the work that I've done with human design in business, you know, you wouldn't think that an astrology map, if you will, can can be a tool that can activate your profit. I mean, obviously, very wealthy people have used astrology as part of their business, but human design, because it's sort of the how of how you operate, it's sort of interesting to explore. Well, how does how I operate affect my profitability and my capacity to use my business as a path of service? And I think, when you start to connect who you are with what you do in your work in the world, and you give yourself permission through that knowledge to be able to really show up for that work in the way that's aligned with who you are, all those little things that we do in business, not all of them, I'm not going to say it's a magic bullet because I still hate accounting, but all of those little things that we do in our business, that we have to do to keep the business growing, to keep moving towards the vision of what we want to give to the world. Start all that procrastination and that all those creative things, those lies we tell ourselves about why we can't do stuff, start to melt away, because that alignment kind of greases that path to expansion and evolution. And I watch you do this so beautifully in the groups that you lead. And you don't just lead groups. I mean, you've coached people who have taken their businesses to Shark Tank and have had massive success at Shark Tank. You've worked with, high-end, executives in their businesses. You have such a beautiful gift of being able to take this very rich and ancient wisdom that you hold and to translate it so beautifully into the higher ends of business in the modern world. And I think that really sets you apart in a very, I'm going to say, necessary way, because we
Mm,
can't do business the way we've been doing business. As you said, it has turned into, if we look back at the old models, it's been a tool of not only destruction potentially, it's been a tool that has kept many of us from moving forward.
mm,
And we've outgrown that old model. It's not about, you know upper echelons and lower echelons anymore. As we all continue to use what we have to lift each other up, business now becomes a vehicle and a model of being in the world that's very different. And your ability to really lead high end leaders into this evolved understanding of what they're doing is pretty phenomenal to watch. So it's been kind of fun to watch you evolve over the last 15 years into this business maven, if you will, that leads these top end leaders.
thank you.
So you have a master class coming up,
I
and
do.
you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So the master class is how to make money using your spiritual gifts to serve humanity at a critical time. I think that part of the prompt that I received of doing this master class is creating something that's accessible and creating something that really gets people um, to not hold back right now. Like, we really need all hands on deck. And I think 2021 is going to continue to ask of humans to go deeper, to
Mhm.
heal. And we need our healers, our shadow workers, our light workers. We need our people to feel that feeling good, being wealthy, and giving back, that they can really feel in that foundation and be of service. I have a little mission that I want to have 100 spiritual businesses reach multiple six figures. So that's my dream. People talk about six figures, and I don't know. I don't know who's surviving on six figures, but
They
they
don't have
probably don't live in the Northeast. What did you say?
they don't have kids.
So at least let's do multiple. So that's the mission that I'm on. And in this master class, it's like take 3 hours of a Saturday and stop figuring it out. Everyone's like, I'm figuring it out. No, 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 figuring it out. Let's get it done. Let's clarify your business model. Let's clarify your framework. Let's do it in a way where people self-select into what you do, and really be in that energy of conviction. Like, really be like, I know I have something, and I need to get over these parts of me that are saying I don't have something, and really, really show up. Because if you've been doing your own spiritual work for 5 to 10 years, we need you right now.
Totally. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's essential. And I think, taking a glimpse forward, when we look at how the human design chart is changing, and we look at the fact that the circuitry within the chart for business is changing, and that being added into that circuitry, which is already a circuitry that's rooted in love and service, being added to that circuitry is the channel 5027, which is a circuitry that is about doing business in a way that is values driven,
Mm,
that is rooted in the value of making sure that everyone who is impacted by the business is fed, literally or figuratively, by the business. And business becomes a place of not only creating sustainably, but a place where we get to put love into action through what we do and what we give to the world. So this is so needed, I think, at this crucial junction of where we are in our evolution, and really needed as we begin to explore, I think, brand new questions about what is the purpose of business and what is the purpose of wealth. And again, I just, I always stand in awe of you and watching you, how elegantly and so, in such a greatly grounded, wise way, you bring people into this very expanded perspective on how they can live aligned with their truth and spirit, and still also do the very, physical work of the world, and through that work continue to grow and expand the energy of love and heart as they move into a fuller expression of their business. So how can they find you? How can they want to? I want to sign up.
Okay.
How can they find you?
So that course is at ashaisnow.com/spirit gifts.
So,
Spirit gifts.
all right. So Asha's ASHA is isnow.com/spirit gifts. And if you didn't catch that, the link will be also posted up above in the show notes. So, and the date of the class is
February 6th. It's a Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. It is recorded, but I mean, if you can come and like I just got to say this. I've gone to classes where it's a webinar and it's great. But for me, it's like, no, I need the people. I need to see the people's faces. We need to be like, we need to be in conversation. You need to receive the medicine that's going to activate you so that you can really make 2021 fulfilling, profitable, but also like be available for the service that's needed right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, I think just sitting in a room with you when you lead is a transformative process in and of itself, and to be the recipient of that is a pretty cool thing. So all right, so how to charge for your spiritual gifts and serve humanity at this crucial time, February 6th, Saturday. And again, ashaisnow.com/spiritual gifts. Thank you, Asha, for being here today with us and sharing. I love your the three parts, because it's so different than how I watched my parents, who were both entrepreneurs, how they did business. Their whole business definition was work hard, retire later. And it's been so interesting to try to navigate a different kind of a business model. And it's just, I think it's such a really refreshing and essential thing that you show people that, hey, there's a different way. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to compromise on your family. You can really have it all and use what you create to really make a difference in the world, and use your work as a pathway of service. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.